Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 6 of our COM 151 class. This is Mark here, your instructor, and I hope that the class so far over the last 5 weeks has been enjoyable to you, that you've learned a few things about Microsoft Office. I know we've covered several different programs so far with Outlook, OneNote, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and now we're working in Microsoft Excel. I like Microsoft Excel. There is a lot to learn, so don't get discouraged. We're only really touching the tip of the iceberg in terms of what Microsoft Excel can do. As we began our discussions last week in Excel, we started talking about charting and how to create charts. There are a lot of different charts that we can do in Microsoft Excel. You saw probably pie charts. There are line charts, there are bar charts, then there's really fancy charts like radar plots, X bar and R charts, and the list just goes on and on in terms of charts. Selecting the right chart is important. Each chart really paints a different kind of a picture for us, and that's important for our audience to understand the information that we're trying to convey. A pie chart is a great chart to show percentages or to show how much of a whole something is. If we wanted to say, for an example, how many men are in management versus how many women are in a management role, a pie chart would be a good chart to show that. If we wanted to show the numbers of accidents year over year that people have with cars, a line chart might be a better chart for something like that. If we want to see defects or causes, what is the biggest cause of, or what is the biggest reason for, something like that, bar charts are usually a good choice there. And then it just goes on and on depending on what we're trying to accomplish. So hopefully you've seen a little bit about charts. You can do a lot of things with the charts. A couple things I want to wrap up on charts with is I like to put the charts on a separate page or separate sheet in Excel. I know a lot of times if you don't tell it to, so to speak, it will put the chart right there on the page where your numbers are. I usually like to move it over to a sheet that is separate. Like my numbers may be on sheet number 2. Well, on sheet 3 is where I'll actually put my chart. That way when I want to do some printing and things like that, it's easier to deal with. Formatting charts are important. How we format it makes it easy to read, or can make it harder to read. We also have to be cognizant of the fact that people can manipulate charts to make data look better or to make it look worse than it may actually be. And they do that by using the scales on the left-hand side, the vertical scales, or the the lower scales horizontally, which is the axis and so forth. Always when you're looking at charts, look at that scale and make sure that you understand the scaling, because, like I say, it's easy for us to change those scales, and we can change those scales to make the charts better or worse. So that's a little bit about charting and the things that we've been working on there. This week we transition over to using formulas and formatting and things like that. There's a lot of formatting that we can do in Excel that you can help you make sheets look good. We'll talk about that some this week. But probably the key thing to learn in Excel that we'll work on this week is creating a formula. Formulas are how we actually do the math. And what's really, really cool about Excel is we don't actually use the numbers. We use the cell addresses. So we may say A1 plus B1 equals, and then we can change the numbers in those cells, and the math stays in place the whole time. So we set up a sheet with our adding and our subtracting, our multiplying, dividing, or whatever math that we're doing, and we use cell addresses, and then all we have to do is put the numbers in, and the math happens. Then let's say later we say, I wonder what would happen if the number was X. Well, just change the number, see what the answer changes to, and you don't really have to create all new formulas in math. So it's a great tool to save us work once we kind of get things setup, if you will, and that's important. A lot of people do Excel. In Excel, they do what they call what-if analysis. And you may see I do that every once in a while with my paycheck, if you will. What would my budget be if I made a 3% raise? What would my budget be if I paid off my car? What would my savings be if I put X amount of dollars in and did it for 26 paychecks? And again, I can set up that math, use cell addresses, and then I can change those numbers to be whatever I want them to be, and I can kind of do some dreaming or planning or setting goals and so forth. For math to work in Microsoft Excel, you have to understand order of operations, and that's probably the most significant thing to make the math work appropriately. Always remember that things that are in parentheses are the first things that happened in multiplying, divide, add, and subtract, if you'll remember that old order of operations. So when you're writing out a formula, if you will, in Excel, keep that in mind, because if you don't do it that way, you'll get the wrong answers. There are also a lot of functions and formulas already built in to Microsoft Excel, and some of them are very complicated, especially in statistics and things like that. But there are so many math functions already built for you that can help you, even if you're not really good at math, can help you do a good job with those sort of things. So this week, that's what we'll be working on. Again, let me know if you have any kind of questions. I'll be setting up a Zoom conference this week to kind of show you some of those things live on the screen. And so if you've got video and audio and so forth, we'll be sending that out for you to jump on and learn. And you can get an easy grade there as well. So let me know if you have any kind of questions. I look forward to seeing your discussions and your assignments and so forth, and I hope you have a great week.